If we compress the entire history of the universe into a single calendar year, with the Big Bang happening on January 1st, humans wouldn't appear until 11:52 p.m. on December 31st, just in the last 8 minutes. Yet, in those brief moments, we have split atoms, landed on the moon, invented TikTok, and faced our own extinction more than once. How did we get here? 70,000 years ago, somewhere on the African savanna, a small tribe of Homo sapiens stared into the fire, unaware they were about to become the most dominant species on the planet. We weren't the strongest, fastest, or most numerous. We didn't have claws or wings. What we had was a story. Unlike other animals, we could imagine things that didn't exist. Concepts like gods, nations, laws, money, honor, and shame became invisible forces that would drive the rise and fall of civilizations. This was our superpower. But let's rewind. For millions of years, we were just one of many human species. There were Neanderthals in Europe, Denisovans in Asia, and Homo erectus, which had roamed the earth for nearly 2 million years. In fact, Homo sapiens almost didn't survive. Our population dropped to fewer than 10,000 individuals during a near-extinction event known as a genetic bottleneck. Yet somehow, we survived. And not only did we survive, we thrived. We didn't just walk out of Africa, we surged out. By 10,000 BCE, we had reached Australia, Asia, Europe, and eventually the Americas. We hunted mammoths, tamed fire, painted gods and beasts in caves, and gazed up at the stars, wondering what they meant. For 95% of our history, we lived as nomads in small bands, as hunter-gatherers. There were no governments, no money, and no taxes. Decisions were made together, and food was shared. Life was tough, but strangely equal. Then, around 12,000 years ago, something shifted. We planted a seed. The agricultural revolution began. In the Fertile Crescent, humans started to grow wheat. This wasn't because it was easy, it certainly wasn't. Early farmers actually worked longer hours, had worse diets, and suffered more diseases than foragers. But wheat offered one thing that no wild berry could: surplus. And surplus meant power. We settled down instead of roaming. Villages turned into towns, which evolved into cities. We built granaries, temples, and walls, creating hierarchies. Landowners and laborers, kings and peasants, scribes and soldiers emerged. Agriculture brought a civilization, but it also led to inequality, war, slavery, and taxes. Yet, we kept moving forward. Around 3000 BCE in Mesopotamia, we invented writing. Not for poetry or philosophy, but to count grain. The earliest written sentence was not a love letter, it was an invoice. The first spreadsheets were cuneiform. Bureaucracy emerged before beauty. Soon after, empires rose. Egypt, with its god-kings and pyramids, the Indus Valley, with its intricate plumbing and undeciphered scripts, China, with its cycles of dynasties and philosophy, and Babylon, where Hammurabi created the first written code of laws, an eye for an eye. Fast forward to 500 BCE, when the world's major philosophies appeared almost simultaneously. Confucius emerged in China, Buddha in India, and Socrates in Greece. Different lands, different lives, yet all asking the same questions. What is virtue? What is justice? How should we live? By this time, the human population had grown to over 100 million. Trade-linked continents. Armies fought for dominance. Alexander the Great, still in his 20s, built an empire stretching from Greece to India before dying young. Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon. Cleopatra spoke 9 languages. And on a hill in Jerusalem, a Jewish preacher spoke of loving enemies, forever changing the world. Empires rose and fell like tides. The Roman Empire, the Han Dynasty, the Caliphates, the Mongols, the Aztecs, the Ottomans. Blood was shed around the world, but we continued to advance, inventing, adjusting, enduring. Then came the printing press. Suddenly, ideas spread faster than armies. Knowledge became contagious. Martin Luther's 95 Theses ignited the Reformation. Galileo's telescope challenged the heavens. A few thinkers sparked the Enlightenment. It was during this time that revolutions took shape. In 1776, a group of colonists declared independence in America. In 1789, the French stormed the Bastille. Liberty, equality, fraternity, ideals that frightened kings and excited commoners. But revolution, like fire, can be difficult to control. Then came the machines. The Industrial Revolution changed mud huts into smokestacks. It brought steam engines, railways, and telegraphs. Cities grew quickly, children worked in coal mines, and factories took the place of farms. Alongside this came modern medicine, sanitation, and electricity. Life expectancy increased dramatically. Poverty declined. The world became more unequal and more connected than ever. However, progress had a dark side. In the 20th century, humans killed one another like never before. 2 world wars, the Holocaust, Hiroshima, and countless genocides occurred. Still, out of the destruction, we rebuilt. We created the United Nations, fought for civil rights, landed on the moon, developed microchips, and connected through the internet. A species that once chipped flint to cut meat was now sending satellites beyond the stars. We decoded the genome, cloned animals, built artificial intelligence, and explored black holes. We replaced gods with science, and in some cases, turned science into gods. Yet here's the odd thing. For all our knowledge, we still struggle with the same questions. Who are we? Why are we here? What comes next? We've cured diseases that once wiped out cities, yet we've created new addictions that distract us. We've dismantled empires, but we've also built algorithms that govern our lives. We've never been more powerful, or more anxious, more free, or more divided. Yet if you take a step back, it's truly miraculous. From a scared group of apes around a fire to a species capable of editing DNA and sending robots to Mars, we are history's wildest experiment. We're a single species that painted the Sistine Chapel, crossed oceans, waged wars, wrote symphonies, flew planes, split atoms, loved, grieved, hoped, and dreamed, all in what feels like an instant on a cosmic scale. So what is the story of humankind? It's the story of a fragile, flawed, extraordinary creature, a creature that dares not just to survive, but to ask why it exists at all. And perhaps, just perhaps, the best chapters remain unwritten.